أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. All praise to Allah who grants us these opportunities to remember and appreciate Imam Hussein, alayhi salam. Today is the 11th day of Muharram, 1443 Hijri, and I would like to start this program by giving our condolences to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family, especially Imam Mahdi, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahum, on the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein and the martyrs of the Holy Land of Karbala. Next, I would like to appreciate Sayyid Taha, Habib uncle, Hashmat uncle, Abu Ali uncle, Ismail uncle for their involvement of the youth in these programs. May Allah bless them all. Now to begin today's program, I will ask Brother Parvez to recite a chapter from the Holy Quran. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها صلوات.
Thank you for that beautiful recitation of Quran. Now I will request Sultan Uncle to recite a Marsiya. Salawat.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. आका सलाम ले लो, मौला सलाम ले लो, छल के हुए हैं आंसू आँखों के जाम ले लो, आका सलाम ले लो, मौला सलाम ले लो, हसरत की सुबह ले लो, गुर्बत की शाम ले लो, हर साहिबे अज़ा का मौला सलाम ले लो, टूटे हुए दिलों का मुड़कर सलाम ले लो, आका सलाम ले लो, मौला सलाम ले लो, शिमरे लई चलाई शमशीर किस गले पर, ज़हरा के दिल पे ज़ालिम खंजर तेरा रवां है, ऐ दर्द दिल संभलना ये वक्त इम्तिहान है, आका सलाम लो, मौला सलाम ले लो, कैसी फिजाए अब तक आवाज आ रही है, कुछ देर की दुल्हन भी मकतल में जा रही है, दुल्हन के सर से सहरा किस्मत बहा रही है, आका सलाम ले लो, सलाम ले लो, अब्बास के अलम की याद आएगी निशानी, पानी तो गिर चुका है, टुकड़े है गम से सीना, आंसू बहा रहा है मशकीज़े सकीना, आका सलाम ले लो, मौला सलाम ले लो। खून में तड़प रहा है कड़ियल जवान बेटा, शब्बीर है अकेले, मैयत बड़ी जवान है। लैला संभाल लेना अकबर की लाश जाकर, आका सलाम ले लो, सलाम ले लो। शायद तड़प तड़प कर असगर ने जान दे दी, बानू न पूछना अब बच्चा मेरा कहाँ है, दम तोड़ देगी सुगरा बीमार नातवा है, आका सलाम ले लो, मौला सलाम ले लो। छल के हुए हैं आंसू आँखों के जाम ले लो, आका सलाम ले लो, मौला सलाम ले लो। मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु
محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
Thank you so much for that, Marcia. Now we will play a clip of a poem recited by Mir Hashim Uncle. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حسبنا الله نعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة فيا ليتني كنا معك فنفوز فوزا عظيما ای شام بساط شهدا ذکریم ای شام بساط شهدا ذکریم سردار رشید کربلا از ذکری سردار رشید کربلا از ذکری از بارق قهر الهی عباس از بارق قهر الهی عباس ای گشت برای دین فدا از ذکری ای گشت برای دین فدا از ذکری ای ماه بنی هاشم و ای نور جلی ای ماه بنی هاشم و ای نور جلی و ای میر فروزنده چرخ ازلی و ای میر فروزنده چرخ ازلی سقا و سپهدار و علمدار حسین سقا و سپهدار علمدار حسین سر تا به قدم آینه روی علی سر تا به قدم آینه روی علی افزاشتگی بر کوی عشق پرچم عباس افزاشتگی بر کوی عشق پرچم عباس در جبهه فشرده پای محکم عباس در جبهه فشرده پای محکم عباس بیاب و عذاب و او گلشن دین شد سیراب بیاب از او گلشن دین شد سیراب به دست گرفت دست عالم عباس به دست گرفت دست عالم عباس عمو جان حرم آب ندارد عمو جان حرم آب ندارد رقیه شده بیهوش علی تاب ندارد رقیه شده بیهوش علی تاب ندارد بگویید همه با دل مستر بگویید همه با دل مستر الهی نبیند حسین داغ برادر الهی نبیند حسین داغ برادر ابوالفضل شکست کمر من ابوالفضل شکست کمر من زجا خیز و ببر آب نمیرد به سر من زجا خیز و ببر آب نمیرد به سر من دستی به کنار القمدی حسین دستی به کنار القمدی حسین چون گل به برش گرفت و بویید حسین چون گل به برش گرفت و بویید حسین در وقت ولادتش علی بوسید در وقت ولادتش علی بوسید در وقت شهادتش ببوسید حسین در وقت ولادتش علی بوسید در وقت شهادتش ببوسید حسین سایل القموات گل یاس یکیست سایل القموات گل یاس یکیست قمر هاشمیان در همه ناس یکیست قمر هاشمیان در همه ناس یکیست سعی کردم عدد اجده و دیدم به حساب سعی کردم عدد اجده و دیدم به حساب نام زیبای عباس صالح و عباس یکیست که خدا گفته بر حمایت و دایره دین احمدی صلوات اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم.
That was a poem by our dear Uncle Mir Hassim. Now I will request Sheikh Shafiq Hora to do this Majalis Azza. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم برای تعجیل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان بلندتر صلوات برای خوشنود اداب عبدالله بلندتر صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الفاتحة. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقاتليهم وغاصب حقوق حقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين. من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. صلوات الله
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام. I once again ask Allah Ta'ala to reward all of us, all of you, for participating in the Majlis Aza of Abu Abdullah. Mawla has been martyred, but the message of Mawla continues. The family members, the Ashab of Imam, have been killed on the plains of Karbala. But today is the day that we remember the remaining members, the surviving members of the family of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. And with that, I will ask Allah Ta'ala to send His blessings upon the community and give us the tawfiq to remain azadar of Imam Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. And inshallah, if Allah wishes to keep us alive for another year, to ensure that this azadari remains a part of our hearts, a part of our lives, and a part of our communities, inshallah, until the end of our lives. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ اللهم استجب لنا وتقبله بكرمك وبعزتك وعافيتك وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل.
Sisters and brothers, my youngsters, my elders, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah Ta'ala be upon all of you. I had promised and had mentioned in the 9th night that inshallah today we will close up the subject, and of course there was an important part of the remembrance or our responsibilities in the time of Imam Sahib al-Amr that I had not been able to complete. I had mentioned that there was the Azadari has been helping us to have the stamina and the strength to withstand the oppression and stay as a community and remain Shia. Otherwise we have seen throughout history numerous entities, most of them in government, most of them in powers of authority, wanting to eliminate and eradicate the Shia. In fact, even recently, यानी मुझे कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है 1000 साल पहले जाने के लिए. I don't have to go so far behind. Even in recent era when Saddam was in power, the slogan that was written in the first Intifada in 1991, those of my friends who had gone to Karbala and Najaf for ziyarah, they used to see the billboards of the Baathists. They used to see the billboards of Saddam and his group. And that billboard said, La Shi'ati ba'd al-yawm. No Shia after today. So this was not something that the Baathists or Saddam had come up with. This was something that Banu Umayyah had wanted. This was something Banu Abbas wanted. This is something the various successive governments, the Takfiris, the Wahhabis, the Salafis, the Daesh, the Taliban, that's what they've always wanted. La Shi'ati ba'd al-yawm, no Shia after today. And it was nothing other than Abu Abdullah's message that allowed us to not only stay alive, but flourish and spread. That today, mashallah, when I was looking at just some of the various different places in Azadari, one of the places actually that I was going to go after the initial Ashura was in Portugal. And up until about last year, I did not even know that there were Shias in Portugal, in Lisbon. They have a Fatimiyya, and I was even more surprised that the one of the Sayyids who is there, a dear friend of mine, one of the Sayyids actually sent me a little clip. And one of the Sheikh Maulanas who was there, Sheikh Safdar Razi, showed an actual julus that they had. I mean, of course, it was not as big as, but the fact that they even had a julus, a demonstration in Lisbon, Portugal, was enough for me to say that Allahu Akbar, the message of Abu Abdullah has even reached small cities where even the language might not be so easily understood and acceptable, but yet the Azadari of Mawla Abu Abdullah is there. Every inhabited continent on this earth, somewhere or another, on every inhabited continent, there is the Azadari and Matam of Abu Abdullah. Allahu Akbar. So this is something that has kept us alive. And I had mentioned that 2 other things. So a total of 3 things that have actually given the Shia life, the Ja'afri community life. So this was one thing, the Azadari, the black cloth. And the enemies have understood this. I was reading some books of non-Shias about Muharram, about Ashura, about Imam Hussein. There was one book that I read about Imam Hussein, a biography, not from a Shia, but of course, a part of my study, and Sayyid, you know this as well. A part of our study is to know what the others are saying, to be able to defend it if we need to. And Marhum Ayatollah Akhtar Rizvi Sahib, the father of Sayyid Muhammad of Toronto, he mentioned something very, very beautiful. He says, we do not have the time or ability to respond to every argument that is made against us. But at the same time, when there is something that the masses are having a misunderstanding on, then it is wajib on us to reply. Why do we do this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing Mataman al-Azadari? And this one book that I read, and I have forgotten the name of the author, but it was a small booklet on Imam Hussein. And it was interesting because the author then writes that on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein was sitting at the door of the tent with a glass of water, thinking what he should do now. And those of you who have ever written a story or written a poem or written anything or read a story or read a book, you will understand that there's a certain flow that has to go through a chapter. I mean, even if you're not a writer, you know that when you're reading a story or when you're listening to somebody speak, you will always know when I have either forgotten a point or I have missed a point or I'm trying to fit a point that doesn't fit into a lecture. You will be able to understand that right away from any speaker. And I'm using my example because I'm in front of you right now. So if there is something I want to put in the majlis, but it does not really fit in, you will be able to sense it right away. And afterwards, you will think that that point really didn't fit in. So when I was reading this biography, this person, this author, deliberately puts in that Imam Hussein was sitting at the tent, his own tent, outside of his tent, sitting down on a chair with a glass of water, thinking what to do next. Now, of course, Abu Abdullah would be thinking all the time anyways. Why did the author put in there, out of the blue, that he had a glass of water, cool water, to drink and think? To drink a thing. It is something that is just so out that, when as a third person reading it, it completely was out of spot. So they will make a point to say that, Imam Hussein had water on the day of Ashura. Umar as-Sad couldn't have done this. Yazid did not know about it. They've given so many examples. And then when they saw that none of these work, what did they do? They said that this alam is bid'ah, this alam is shirk, you're doing what the Christians used to do to Hazrat Isa's cross and all that. Then they would say that black cloth is the cloth of the Jahannamis, and if you wear black, you will go to Jahannam. And a beautiful answer was given by a teacher of mine. He says, "Theek hai. Aapko ye kehna hai na, कि the black cloth is the cloth of the Jahannamis. No problem. We will accept it. We will accept it. You know why? Because when you go for Hajj, when you go for Umrah, and you go to the Khane Kaaba, and you do the Tawaf of the Kaaba has a cloth on top of it. The cloth was not put there by Ibrahim Khalilullah. The cloth was not put there by Hazrat Ibrahim. The Ibrahim alayhi salam, Nabiullah Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail had built it with bricks. There are bricks there. Where did that cloth come from? And what color is that cloth? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. आपको पता है ये कपड़ा कहाँ से आया था? Where did that cloth come from? You know your history, right? Inshallah. Hazrat Hajra wanted to give a gift. Hazrat Ismail and Ibrahim alayhi salam built the Kaaba. They built the Kaaba. They said, this will be Baytullah. This is where Allah Ta'ala will be worshipped. Hazrat Hajra wanted to also give a gift. Hazrat Hajra also wanted to be a part of this Baytullah. So she took her chadar and she said, this is my gift for Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala's house. And so Allah Ta'ala loved that gift. He kept it as a part of the Kaaba. So if you, O Mufti Sahib, O you, Imam Sahib, O you, who is Ahl Saud or Takfiris or Wahhabis, you are telling us that what we are wearing, this black cloth, is the libas of the Jahannamis. Wherever the Khane Kaaba's chadar will go, we will also go with it, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Then they said, don't cry. Because if you cry, you are giving aziyat, you are giving torture to the marhum. So you Shias, by crying for Abu Abdullah, by crying for Imam Hussein, you are torturing him, you're punishing him, he's going to get, na'udhu billah, azab in the qabr. This is what they say. I've seen this in the writings. That don't cry, you should have sabr, you should have strength, you should have sabr, you should have strength. Okay, theek hai. We will have sabr inshallah. But we want to have our sabr from the Quran Majid. Because the Quran Majid is reminding us, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ सही है ना? कुरान आप जानते हो. Inna Allah ma'al sabirin. Allah sabirin ke saath hai. So whenever there is somebody who is not a sabir, who we might think is a sabir, Allah Ta'ala corrects them and rectifies it right away. Hazrat Nuh was corrected that when you said your son is a part of a hadha nabni min ahli, Allah Ta'ala immediately says, falaysa min ahlik. Yani Allah Ta'ala does not do murawat, taghalluf. Allah Ta'ala does not have that. He is very blunt and he is very to the point. If you say something wrong, even if it's a Nabi, or not something wrong, but something questionable, Hazrat Nuh innahu kana abdan shakura. The Quran says he was our thankful servant. Koi galati nahi ki thi inhone, koi ijtibah nahi kiya tha. He just said, this is my son. So immediately Allah comes and retorts and says, falaysa min ahlik. He's not your ahl. So now, anytime the Quran Majid mentions something or another, Allah Ta'ala has His own opinion in it because it's His book. The Quran Majid now quotes Nabi Allah Yaqub, who cried for Hazrat Yusuf. So much crying, so much azadari. Why did the Quran not say, Yaqub, anta laysa min as-sabirin? Are you not from the sabirin? No, Allah Ta'ala quoted it and put it in the Quran that he cried so much that his eyes, vision went. It was not until years later when he re-met Yusuf alayhi salam that his eyes came back because of crying. Allah Ta'ala doesn't say anything. And there's countless examples of this. Hazrat Rasul, when he lost a tooth in the battle of Uhud. He lost a tooth in the battle of Uhud. One of the Sahabis was so saddened, was so upset, that he took a rock and he smashed his own teeth, all of them. This was his idea of matam and azadari. Ke Rasulullah lost one tooth or two teeth, a part of the other one was cracked. He took a rock and smashed all of his teeth. This is the azadari of my love for Rasulullah. And not once did Rasulullah say, what have you done? This is biddat, this is shirk, this is haram. Why is it that only when this is done, it is called shirk and biddat and haram? So one of the things that the enemy saw was that any time there was something used that might strengthen the Shia, that will strengthen the Shia, they will try to down it, they will try to diss it, they will try to give some negativity so that the Shia will leave their black cloth, they will leave their azadari, they will leave their matam, they will leave whatever they have. Because once we leave everything, what is left in our Jafri madhab? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Baki kya reh gaya hai? The people have often said that you Shia, in a given year, you have so much azadari, you have so much grief. You Shias are always sad. Don't you have any happiness? And if you look at the calendar, Muharram and Safar 60 days. 8th of Rabiul Awwal, 68 days. The shahadats of the remaining 12 Masumeen, because Imam is still alive, Imam Zain al-Abidin was also in there. So you start adding these days up. Shab-e Jummah, Thursday, we always have some Masaib. We do the Ziyarat of Abu Abdullah. And we remember. So 52 more you add in there to the 68. And you keep going and you will see almost half of our calendar is Azadari. And so these accusations are correct. Okay, half your life you're spending in another. Now let's respond to that. Jawab bhi dena hai na. Jawab dena wajib hai. Because like I quoted Maulana Akhtar Sahib Qibla, Allah Maqam, may Allah give him a place in the Ahl Bayt. We will not respond to everything, but we also will not respond, we will not keep our minds, because our lack of response then sometimes shows weakness. The issue here is, what is more effective in getting us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I want you to think for a moment. What is more effective? Yani Muslim is what? And a Muslim is what? Innal Islama wa taslim. Somebody who surrenders before Allah Ta'ala is a hakiki Muslim. Mere saath ho na? The Prophet is Innal Islama wa taslim. Islam is to surrender, submit before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, who submits and surrenders before Allah? How do you get closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Forget about the Shia mazhab for a moment. I will leave the Shia mazhab aside for a moment. Let's see what does the Quran and the Islamic etiquette say. We are told that Allah Ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah, every eye will be crying, every eye will be burning, every eye will be punished, except 3 eyes. 3 eyes. Which 3? The one who did not look at something haram intentionally and ongoing. Number 2, the one that stayed awake for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 3, the eye that cried for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not a hadith only in our books, huh? So remember that. Number 1. Okay? So here, I didn't read anywhere. Okay, we should celebrate and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should have a party and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should play some instruments and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have you read anything? Okay, let's go on. Now we are told that in the salah, in this wajibat, if I remember my son, for example, and I cry in the namaz, my namaz is batil. If I remember my grandparents who passed away, my salat is batil. I have to repeat my salat. But in the same salat, if I think of the day of Qiyamah, Ya Allah, what will happen? Yawm al-Shadid, Yawm al-Yakum al-Hisab, Yawm al-Din. I'm thinking of that and I remember my sins and I'm thinking what will happen on the day of Qiyamah, what will happen? And I start crying. Mufti Sahib has said, the daraja of your salat, this is in the Ahl-Sunnah kitab as well, this is in our books as well, the daraja, the maqam, the station, the importance, the value of your salat goes so high that salat in which you have cried for the sake of Allah has reached the darbar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now in the same salat, if I think of, oh mashallah, I went to that wedding before Muharram, I went to that wedding on Eid al-Adha, and I had such a fun time there, what happens to my namaz in that state? Does it reach towards Arsh Azam? So now you have just proven to me, Mufti Sahib, Maulana Sahib, you have just told me that in every one of these avenues, a wajib amal like namaz, which is umududdin, in kubilat ma siwa, wa in rudda ma siwa, an important wajibat, an important obligation like salam, increases and improves. If I have cried for the sake of Allah, now you are telling me by crying your Shia calendar is full of gham. We are telling you one thing, it is these tears and it is this sadness that is getting us closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أتقرب إلى الله صلي على محمد وآل أتقرب إلى الله بذكرك Mawla, we want to get closer to whom? أتقرب إلى الله. We don't want to get closer to any of these people in the dunya who are making accusations against us. We want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بذكرك, with remembrance of Abu Abdullah. That is a spiritual side. I will inshallah come to a ruhani, psychological state as well. If you read the books of psychology, and perhaps afterwards I might ask you for some help, because there's one, I could not remember his name, and we had studied him, and then it was not Abraham Maslow, but it was somebody else, who was talking about getting a reaction from a crowd, getting a response. And this psychologist, the psychiatrist, was proving that a crowd is maybe 66%, I can't remember the exact details, so please do not quote me on it, forgive me. But he said it was more than 50%. If you want to get a response from a crowd, if you want to get some reaction from a crowd, make them cry rather than making them laugh. When you make them laugh, they'll remember you for a few minutes, but that will be forgotten. But if you've actually managed to take a tear out of them, you will be able to do whatever action you want to do, because they will remember that tear more than they will remember that laugh. They will act more after tears. They will respond more. If they show you a picture in the villages of Africa, in the villages of Afghanistan, in the villages of Pakistan or India, and they're showing people suffering, and they're showing people crying, and they're showing people who are orphaned, and they're showing people who are in tears, and your heart is, brought into tears, will you give them $50 or a group of people who are celebrating in a wedding? You'll give them $50. If that's all you have, where will you give the money? Where will your heart go? Now you understand why half of our calendar is azadari and gham. It's because Allah Ta'ala wants us to get closer to Him. Abu Abdullah and the Aimma from Imam Awwal to Imam Al-Akhir alayhimus salatu wassalam want us, want us to get closer to Him. They don't want us to be distant from Him. Shaitan will cause a party. That is why when a man goes to Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wassalam and says, Yabna Rasulullah, I've got 2 invitations. I've got one invitation to a wedding. On the same day, at the same time, I've got an invitation to go to a mayyat. Where should I go? Mullah says, wherever you want to go. He says, no Mullah, I've come to you. You tell me. Now think for a moment. if the imam or this questioner came to me, I would have said that, mashallah, this wedding, it's a new life. A couple is starting. You go there, you'll be a part of their marriage. They'll be indebted to you. You will have some fun. You'll have some biryani. I mean, this is an Arab function, so they probably didn't have biryani. They'll have some shawarma or something. And then you will have, a nice time giving them their congratulations. And then it's done. This poor marhum who has passed away, you can do a Fatiha from home. You can do a Fatiha from anywhere. Mola could have told him, okay, go to the wedding, that's the beginning of a new life. This life has already ended. Why go to this one? Mola says, go to the mayyat. Go to the mayyat. The man didn't ask anything else. But the perplexion on his face was evident. The Imam says, you know why? Because when you go to the wedding, in that celebration, in that festivity, it is natural to forget our akhirah, to forget our end, to forget what our responsibilities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are. When you go to that mayyat, you will remember that one day you will also be in there. One day you will also be dying. One day you will also have to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and give a hisab and a kita and a jawab for everything you have done. Go there, you will wake up and your spirit will awaken there. So you understand, don't be fooled by these statements and these accusations. You guys are always crying. Imam Khomeini, Allah Maqam, said something so beautiful. He says, they call us a nation of tears. Yes, we are a nation of tears. It was these tears that we overthrew the superpower of the era. It was these tears that overthrew the Hukumat of Banu Umayyah. Perhaps you don't know how powerful Banu Umayyah was in its time. This America and Russia and England, they are nothing. These kingdoms and kingships and all that, queendoms and all that, these are nothing. Banu Umayyah was much more mazboot, much stronger than that. These people here are looking at how did Banu Umayyah run and operate so that we can take examples from them. And yet what happened within one generation after Abu Abdullah's shahadat, Banu Umayyah crumbled like the dust from the mountain's base. You see? What is it? Ya Zadari of Abu Abdullah, the Alam of Abbasi Alamdar. This is what has kept us going. So I was saying that inshallah today in the few minutes that I have left, inshallah I will cover the last 2 points. The 2 more things that have kept us alive. One is that political authority, the political independence which is known as our marjaiyat. The ulama who have safeguarded Islam. I had mentioned a few things on the other side, what Imam Ali said about the negative part of ulama. Now I'll talk about the positive part about the ulama. Because the ulama, the Prophet says, Qala Rasulullahi, al-ulama warithul anbiya. They are the successors of the anbiya. They have got a role that is greater than the abidin. The abidin, the worshipper, he is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But a hakiki alim is also doing his worship, but he's also guiding an entire community to go to the next level. And one of the things that has made our ulama, the maraja, different than others, I had mentioned the other day as well, on the 9th night I had said, that when your paycheck comes from the government, when your paycheck comes from the king and the shah and this and that, then you're praying for him because he is signing your paycheck, so you have to make dua for him. You have to pray for his long life and safety. But when you're genuinely serving Imam Sahibul Amr Ajallah Ta'ala, then you will be praying for the 12th Imam. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And so why do we pray for their long life of the Maraja? Because right now the ulama, the warithe anbiya, the successors of the prophets, they have got a significant responsibility on their shoulders to guide the people towards the message of haqq. Today, I will just begin, why is taqleed so important? Why is it so important for us to follow a marja? And there's 3 options. You don't have to do taqleed. If you want to go for ijtihad, bismillah, go for ijtihad, spend your life, in Qom or Najaf or Mashhad or Tehran or Damascus once upon a time. In Beirut they have Hawza Ilmiya as well. Go there, spend your life, and you can do your own taqleed, you can do your own ijtihad, you don't have to follow any marja. So you can do ijtihad. Number 2 is you yourself become ihtiyat, you can practice ihtiyat. That means that you look at what all of the ulama say, and the most stringent, the most difficult of them, you act on it. That is known as ihtiyat. That you know that you are protected from all sides. And the third and the easiest option is to do taqleed. Follow a marja in the matters of furu'id-din. Right? In belief, there's no ijtihad. There's no taqlid, sorry. Okay? So that means that you follow marja, somebody who is regarded as a'lam, the most knowledgeable. And one of the things, people have said, oh, this is just blind following, you're just following. Okay, let me ask you something. I'll prove whether it is blind following or not. Let us imagine for a moment, it is Yawm al-Qiyamah, it is the day of judgment. And the angel comes to me, grabs my shirt and says, Mr. Shafiq, why did you pray Maghrib 3 rakat? Do you pray Maghrib 3 rakat? All of you? Inshallah. Say na. Main koi galat baat nahi kar raha hu. Now I will make you a challenge. If Sayyid would give me a couple of hours, I could have made the challenge right now. I would have given everybody a Quran Majid, Farsi translation, Urdu translation, English translation, and the Arabic. Please find me one verse in the entire Quran Majid from Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to Min al-Jinnati wan-Nas that says Maghrib is 3 rakats. I promise you I will never sit on the mimbar again. I will shave off my mustache and I will be your servant for an entire day. Find me in the Quran Majid where it says Maghrib is 3 rakats. This is a challenge. Oh, okay. You'll tell me that, wait a minute. Okay? This is our message to these so-called interpreters of Islam. Every Muslim recites 3 rakat from Maghrib. Where is it? You will realize that Fajr is no, rakatain of Salat al-Fajr is not mentioned. The Quran doesn't talk about exact time, it gives you an idea. Aqim as-salata liduluki shamsi ila ghasaq al-layli wa Quran al-Fajri. Inna Quran al-Fajri kana mashhuda. It talks about the Fajr, it talks about the Maghrib, it talks about the Dhuhr, it talks about 3 timings of Salat. It does not tell you how many rakats in each of those timings. Where did you get it from, Mr. Shafiq? If the Malaika ask me, what will I tell them? Mommy and Papa told me it was 4 rakats. Maghrib 3 rakats. My madrasa teacher told me. Will that be valid? Or will it be valid that, Ya Allah, O Malaika, O Malak, I trusted somebody who had given his whole life in the service of Islam. He told me that Maghrib is 3 rakat. You see, there is something we have talked about from the beginning that is known as Dalil. In the Hawza Ilmiya, when you go to the Hawza, Sayyid, you know about this. You cannot, even the Maraja, cannot make one statement without giving you a whole book, a whole page on Dalil, al-Dalail. These are the evidences. This is what this one said, this is what this one said, this is what this one has said, this is what Rasulullah had done, this is the Dalil, the evidence of how Rasulullah prayed. So what the Quran is reminding us is فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those who know when you don't know. How do you know what to do? How do you know how to fast? That fasting is from Subh Sadiq, from before Imsak until just Maghrib time. How do you know that? Why are there divisions in the Muslim Ummah? Some do Maghrib at the time of sunset. Some do Maghrib when it's Maghrib. Ghasaq al-Layl, the Quran talks about. Ghasaq al-Layl means when the night has set in. Okay? Well, Quran al-Fajr. Okay, Quran al-Fajr, the recitation of the Fajr. Which is the recitation? What time Fajr is? So you can see the Quran is telling us that the policy has been laid down. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you don't know something, ask those أهل الذِّكْر, those who know. And who knows? The knowledge is ulama. And so you go to the ulama and you ask them for the knowledge, and then you are off the hook. That is why seeking knowledge and reaching ijtihad is a wajibat. It's a wajibat. I know that today you've kept the time early, so I will make sure that we give time for Mahatam as well before Salat, inshallah. So I will make sure I time myself accordingly, inshallah. It's a wajibat, right? To seek knowledge. But now to do ijtihad is also wajib. It's an obligation because somebody has to do it. But there are 2 categories of wajibat. And I hope I have the mu'mineen's attention here, inshallah. One is known as wajib kifai, one is known as wajib aini. Now, for example, the time for namaz comes, the time for salat, 8:39 or 8:40 today, inshallah, you have mentioned. Okay, the time for salat comes. I said, okay, all of you are doing namaz. Sayyid is there to lead the salat, inshallah. So now I will take a break. I will not do namaz today. You say, Shafiq Sahab, are you a kafir? What's the salat is the inna salati umududdin. Salat is the pillar of religion, is a pillar of faith. Inna salati tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salat keeps us safe from all kinds of difficulties. I'll say, but you guys are praying, it should be okay. You will come and say, Sayyid will be the first one to come and tell me that Sheikh, we know that you're a bit, it's been an interesting 12 days, but, you're tired, but you still have to pray. It's not like you can escape from your namaz. That is not for your gender, that is for the other gender. That, sometimes some days in the month you can escape, but that's not for us. We have to do it. So why? Because it's wajib. Okay, it's wajib. Now I'll bring him another problem. Let's say I was to faint here, and when you came and took my pressure, you will say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. I'm gone. Khudafiz, fi amanillah. I'm gone. I'm finished. Now, what is the Shari'i responsibility? All of you have to make sure that I get a proper ghusl. My kafan is put on. Salatul Mayyat is recited for me. And I am buried with a talqeen. Wajib on every one of you. If I've died here right now, it is wajib on every single one of you. But let us say that Sayyid Kareem comes forward and says, it's okay, I'll take care of it. What has he done? He has taken the responsibility of every one of you. Now none of you will be answerable, only he'll give the ghusl, he'll put on the kafan, he'll take me to the cemetery and inshallah put me in the grave. Tamam. What did he do? He took it off, and that is known as wajib kifai. Kifai means kafi. Sufficient. If he doesn't come forward and nobody else does, every one of you on the day of Qiyamah will be answerable and will be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for not burying me and just leaving my body there to rot. Wajib aini means you must do it yourself. Salat, Saum, Hajj, Zakat, all of those are known as wajib aini. Wajib kifai means that if somebody does it, thank you very much, Sayyid. Thank you for looking after it. You have taken the responsibility of all of us. Kafi, kifai, the rest of us can go home, go to sleep and have our chai and go to sleep. So what that means is that ijtihad, seeking knowledge and being a mujtahid, is known as wajib kifai. If no marja comes forward to do ijtihad, it is wajib on every single one of us to go and seek out knowledge, know what the Quran says, learn all the 6,000 ayat of the Quran, all of the 10,000 hadith, know what the Sharia says, know what the ijma is, know what our uqul says, and know what the ulama from ghaibat imam until today have said, and reach a fatwa and do your ijtihad. That becomes wajib on every one of us. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So the ulama, the maraja, the mujtahideen have taken this responsibility off our shoulders. And yet we complain, this marja's fatwa is like this marja's moon sighting fatwa is like this marja is saying this, why can't I eat this food, why can't I eat that food, why can't I do Eid tomorrow? What happens? We start becoming mujtahids ourselves without having studied ijtihad. We become mujtahids without studying ijtihad. In English, they say, more Catholic than the Pope. What does that mean? You become holy, you become, I am this, I am that. I've learned a few words in Arabic. I am a mujtahid, now you have to listen to me. I'll make declare tomorrow is, Baba, kya kar rahe ho? Ma hada chikar mein ko di, Baba. What is this? What games are you playing? What nonsense are we doing to ourselves? You've trusted somebody to guide you to the akhirah, and just because you want to do Eid tomorrow instead of fasting tomorrow, you change. And you start bad-mouthing that marja. You start bad-mouthing that mujtahid. One of the things that has made our ulama very different than the ulama of any other madhab, I'll tell you one thing. If you look at the lives of our ulama, you take a look at, even in our generation, in our area, whether you look at Ayatollah Imam Khomeini, you look at Ayatollah Marhum Muhammad Rida Gulpaigani, you look at Ayatollah Abul Qasim al-Khoyi, you look at Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, you look at Ayatollah Abdullah Ala Sabzawari, just to name a few that were in the previous generation, just before this current generation. Every one of them have lost their children, either in a war or under torturous circumstances. Imam Khomeini, Sayyid Mustafa. Ayatollah Abul Qasim al-Khoyi, both Sayyid Abdul Majid al-Khoyi, Abbas, Sayyid Abdul Majid al-Khoyi, and the younger one, I just cannot recall his name, the younger son, were both killed. One of them under Saddam's time, one of them was attacked just after the independence. Ayatollah Gulpaigani's son, killed in the war with the Iran-Iraq war. You will see that Ayatollah Abdullah Ala Sabzwari himself was imprisoned by Saddam, eventually killed by Saddam. You will see, this whole generation of ulama and the maraja who have suffered. Now let's come to our current generation. You will see Ayatollah Khamenei himself has been, he was under a bomb blast. His right arm is completely paralyzed. He cannot even shake hands. You know that? Because he was unconscious for 6 months. He was actually not even expected to survive. He himself actually writes about that. He says that I don't know what responsibility Allah has had for me, that He kept me alive. I was supposed to have been dead. You will see Ayatollah Sistani, what tortures he had gone through. Allahu Akbar. You'll see Ayatollah Bashir Najafi spent time in his own office. I had spoken to one of his own secretaries where there was a bomb blast in the time of Saddam. This secretary had to crawl everywhere. His legs had been completely destroyed. He was Arabic speaking. You will see Ayatollah Tabatabai al-Hakim, who himself had been tortured so much that when you look at him, you can still see the tears in his face as to what he had suffered. The amount of torture that he had been gone through, the beatings he had gone through. And then his children, grandchildren, and nephews and nieces, they would be cut, salt would be put on them, and these children would be recorded and sent to Bakr al-Hakim and other members of the al-Hakim family, that this is your child, this is your nephew, this is your grandson. If you don't stop your tabligh, we will kill him. They're young children crying. Karbala was not just Karbala in 61 Hijri, Karbala is even today. And what was it? Why am I telling you this? Because our ulama were never those who will send your children onto the front and send your children onto the Maidan and keep their children safe. Today you look at the world leaders, you look at the Queen herself, you look at the presidents of the United States, you look at the prime ministers of Canada, you look at those world leaders, so-called world leaders. Many of their children are in the armed forces, are in the army, are in the navy, are in the air force. And you will see one thing, that they will be in the air force, they will be in the army, but never will they be in the forefront of any war. Find me any in this last 2 generations or 3 generations, any American president's child, British prime minister's child, a queen or king's child who was killed in combat. I challenge you. Maybe you will find 1 in 1,000 if you are lucky. And yet you look at our ulama, our maraja, they practice what they preach. Sayyid Hassan Nasrullah's son was killed by the Zionists. You will see the Maliki Ashtars of our era. You will see the Habib ibn Mazahirs. You will see the Muslim ibn Usajaz. And you will see the Muslim ibn Aqils. Because our ulama and maraja have got that responsibility to Imam Sahib al-Amr to safeguard the religion, to protect Islam, to protect the mazhab of Ahlul Bayt. They will not send your children and say, oh, you guys all send your children. I'm the president. I can't send my child there. My child is in the army. My child is in the navy. But he will never be in combat. You send your children first. Whenever these, Allahu Akbar, the member forbids me from saying anything that is immoral. But these so-called people, when they go and invade a country, when they go and invade Afghanistan, when they go and invade Iraq, when they go and invade Haiti, when they go and invade Panama, when they go and invade all these countries, who do they put in the front of their, on the lines? Who are they? If you read the history of Afghanistan and Iraq, just the recent 2 that is fresh in your memory, the frontline soldiers were Arabs, either from Kuwait or from Saudi or from this place or that place. They put them in the front. You go, our American soldiers are behind. We're going to back you up. We're going to back you up. In the entire Iraq war, occupation, only 2,000 soldiers died of the US. And they still make a big deal. Oh, we lost 2,000 soldiers. We lost 2,000 soldiers. You know how many soldiers were lost in the Vietnam and the Korean wars of the US? Which were also illegitimate wars, but just to give you an idea of numbers, because they learned their lesson. More than 60,000. So here in this war, there's nothing. Two is nothing. But Mahatma Gandhi was once quoted as saying, when somebody came and says that, Gandhiji, we only lost 2 police officers, we only killed 2 police officers, and this and that. And his statement, resounds in my mind till today. He said to them, he says, go and ask the family members of those 2 officers. Okay, only 2 were killed. The problem is, these superpowers of the day don't care about anybody else's life except their own. They don't care about any of your lives. They don't care about any of our families. They don't care about, to them it's just a number. To them it's just a number. To us it's our family. To us it's our friends. To us we have that connection. And this is what our ulama reminded us of. That why do we fight against these superpowers? Why are we opposed to these? Why do we not want these arms sales to Saudi and to the Zionists and everywhere? Because you don't realize what those weapons have done. Your children are safe here. your family members, your brothers, your sisters are safe here. But they are not safe over there. And when they go to work in the morning or they go to school in the morning, I've had Iraqi friends tell me, I've had Afghani friends tell me, I've had Pakistani friends tell me that sometimes the situation becomes so delicate that we are saying Khuda Hafiz to our family members because we don't know if they'll come back after work or not. We don't know if they'll come back or not. Okay? So the ulama have safeguarded Islam and protected the faith of Ahlul Bayt. Why do we sometimes find that there might be difference of opinion? Let me give you a small example and then I'll come to the last point that I have to say tonight. There was one alim. This one alim was on his deathbed. And you may remember that when you're about to die, it is wajib on your family members or your warith to face you towards Qibla in such a way that if you get up, you're facing Qibla. Okay, that's one of the wajibat of dying. It's in the Ahkam Mayyat books. And there's also certain times when it is haram to face Qibla. ठीक है ना? So this alim was dying. He was dying and his son put him towards Qibla. Aga moved himself away from Qibla. The son puts him back towards Qibla. Aga moves himself away from Qibla. He struggles, he's dying, he's not got any, but he just moves himself away. Finally his son tells him, Baba, Aga, why do you keep moving? I'm doing what I have to do, I'm doing my wajibat. Aga smiles and replies him that in this last phase of my life, it is in such a situation where my urine is coming out. My urine is coming out. To face Qibla while urinating is haram. That is why we have to make sure which direction do our toilets face. Please, it is a very serious thing. It is a very important thing. For us, Jafri, it is haram to be facing Qibla or to have our backs towards Qibla when urinating or passing stool. So anyways, Aga tells him that I'm in a state where my urine is coming out. For me, it is haram to face Qibla. So you do what you have to do. Face me towards Qibla. I will do what I have to do to turn myself away from Qibla. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One another example, just to explain to you, and I told you that I will cut it short, inshallah. One time, one of the greatest ulama in the history of Shia faith, one of the greatest lead scholars whose books are used till today, Sheikh Mufid. In fact, his title is Mufid. His name was Muhammad ibn Nu'man. Sheikh Mufid. Mufid was a title that his student, who was not even a Shia, had given him. Mufid yani fayde pahunchane wale. One who benefits others. This title was given to one of his students, Sheikh Mufid. His actual name was Muhammad ibn Nu'man. He was born with the dua of Imam Sahib al-Amr. Muhammad ibn Nu'man, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'm just going a bit quickly, so forgive me, inshallah. Muhammad ibn Nu'man, the father of Sheikh Mufid, wanted a child that he could dedicate. And just like Hazrat Ibrahim, he had him at a very late age. Sheikh Mufid was born at a very late time. He went on to become one of the greatest scholars. His monumental book is Kitab al-Irshad, a biography of all the 12 Imams. First half is dedicated to Amir al-Mu'mineen. The last half is dedicated to all of the Imams. He gives all the proofs as to how the Imam became the Imam, the children of the Imam, the names of the Imam's wives, wherever they were available. A complete comprehensive. If you want to know which Imam had how many children, check Kitab al-Irshad, Sheikh Mufid's book. Sheikh Mufid, as I mentioned, is Sheikh Mufid. Okay? One time, he sees a dream. In this dream, he sees Hazrat Fatima Zahra salamullahi alayha coming to him, completely covered in black. And she brings Hassan and Hussein alayhimus salatu wassalam and says, Ya Shaykh, please teach my children. Shaykh is disturbed. He's perplexed. One of the greatest alims in the Shia madhab, born with the dua of Imam Sahib al-Amr. He wakes up in the morning, he hits his head. He's saying, what have I reached? What have I been feeling? He does istighfar the entire morning. He goes to his dars and he's still very disturbed, very upset. He is approached by a lady whose name was Fatima, the mother of Sayyida Murtada and Sayyida Razi. Jazakallah khair. For those of you who want to know, Allahu Akbar, this is a very beautiful story. Sayyid Razi is the one who you might not know his name, but I am sure you have read his works. He compiled, a little louder, Nahjul Balagha, the sayings of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Very poor he was. But he would find out that there's a khutbah of Imam Ali here. There's a letter of Imam Ali here. There's a saying of Imam Ali there. He would go there 20 years, 20 saal. इन्होंने इस्तेमाल करके नहजुल बलागा compile किया. One of the greatest scholars after Sheikh Mufid's time. His elder brother, Sayyid Murtada. Sayyid Murtada in the history of Islam was known as Alamul Huda. If you ever read that Alamul Huda has said this, Alamul Huda wrote this, Alamul Huda yani Sayyid Murtada. Okay, these were both Sayyids. Hazrat Fatima, the mother of these two Sayyids, comes to Sheikh Mufid and says, please teach my children. Then he realizes what the meaning of that dream was. The young kids grow up. Sayyid Alamul Huda becomes a mujtahid in his own right. Great scholar. Sayyid Razi, as I told you, compiled Nahjul Balagha, spent his life doing this. One time, Sheikh Mufid is the teacher. He's teaching a class. Then there's a gap between the classes. And the classes used to be in the open sand, like out in the grass or out in the field and all that. Sometime later, in between the classes, a dog comes by and urinates in this certain place and goes away. Because of the heat and everything, this urine dries up very quickly. The next class is about to come. The first one who is about to come to this class is Sayyid Murtada, but Sayyid Murtada has not done his namaz, has not done his salat. So he's about to do his salat, he's about to say Takbiratul Ihram. Sheikh tells him, Sayyid, don't pray here, pray somewhere else. He says, why? He says, because a dog has urinated that this earth is najis. Sayyid replies, I didn't see it, it's dry, and that doesn't apply. Allahu Akbar, he starts his namaz. Afterwards, Sheikh tells him, you don't trust me? I saw it with my own eyes. I'm telling you this, and you should have listened to me and prayed somewhere else. He said, but I didn't see it from me. My namaz here was sahih. There's this conflict. आप लोग ये मत समझो कि उलमा में conflicts नहीं होते हैं. Okay? There was a conflict now. This was something very serious. I'm telling you I saw it. You're not believing it. As I said, I'm going to cut this very short. And so they decided that, okay, you know what? We're going to go to Najaf Ashraf and let Mawla solve this problem. Okay, are you correct or am I correct? Khalas. They go to the Haram of Mawla. They go to Najaf Ashraf, they write their question, their problem, their dilemma, they put it in the zari of the Imam. The next morning at Fajr, they come back, there's an answer at the bottom. An answer of Amirul Mu'minin is there. That this problem will be, let my son Muhammad ibn Hassan, Allah Ta'ala, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. My son will solve this dilemma for you. So they make the trip to Samarra. They go to the Sardab, the basements where the Imam is, inshallah. Those who have not gone, may Allah give us a ziyarat of the Sardab of Imam. May Allah give us a ziyarat of Askarain and Samarra and Kadmain and everywhere, inshallah. They go there. They put the same question in there. Please listen carefully. The next morning at Fajr time, there is an answer at the bottom. Imam ka jawab aa gaya hai. Imam ka jawab kya tha? Maybe I would have expected, okay, what are you two people doing? You two are ulama, you two are maraja, you two are mujtahideen. You can't solve a small problem like this. You're trying to handle the world's problems. Behave yourselves, get organized. Maybe the Imam should have said that. What does the Imam say, the answer? 2 lines. As-sayyadu ma'al haqqi wa shaykhu mu'tamadi. La ilaha illallah. The Sayyid is correct, but I have my trust in the Shaykh. Allahumma salli. Imam Sahibul Amr is not reprimanding them, is not scolding them. He is saying that the Sayyid is correct, but I have my full trust in the Shaykh. A Shaykh mu'tamadi, I have my i'timad on the Shaykh. The Imam was telling us, ijtihad is a very complex process. You do what you think is right to the best of your research and ability. Let him do what he thinks is correct to the best of his research and ability. On the day of judgment, Allah Ta'ala will be the judge who gave the ummah the right to judge who is haqq and who is batil. Salawatullah Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So our ulama, the maraja are shining lights, are shining stars for us. Let us be respectful towards them. The last thing I wanted to say was that the khums was what protected the financial independence of the Shia community. The political independence that we never bowed before any force. We never bowed before any government. The financial independence was given by the khums order. That is why when I had mentioned that Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha, when she went for the demanding of fadak, it was not that she wanted money, astaghfirullah, not that she wanted a piece of property. The whole battle in Palestine and in Lebanon and in Syria and in Egypt, the occupation of what the Zionists have done step by step by step, is not that we want property, we want land, we want to be rich, we want to be wealthy. It is a philosophical discussion. Bibi Fatima alayhi salatu wasalam knew that if this fadak is taken, any and every Sayyid will need to go to the Khalifa to get their rizq and to get their sustenance. Hazrat Zahra wanted the Shia to be independent, especially the Sayyids. Especially the Sayyids to be independent of any government. And that is something that is important. That's why Khums is also mentioned in the Quran, Surah Mubarakah Anfal. It is a reminder that there are certain rights that belong to the Prophet, the family of the Prophet, and Imam Sahibul Amr. That was why half of the Khums is called Sahme Imam, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Dhuhuru. The other half is called Sahme Sadat, for the needy Sayyids. So we don't forget any needy Sayyid who is mustahak from the children of Rasulullah. And the children of Rasulullah's respect and the level, even in the Quran, is something that these armies, these individuals, neglected intentionally and deliberately. I often tell people that, it is more hurtful when those who are supposedly Muslims do something than when enemies do it. We know our enemy is our enemy. दुश्मन दुश्मन होते हैं, लेकिन जब कोई कलमा पढ़ने वाले आकर दुश्मनी इजहार करते हैं, उसमें दर्द ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं. We feel the pain more. I once asked one of my students in the madrasa, I said, in this army of Umar Asad, in this army that had come, who had come to attack Imam Hussein in Karbala, I challenge historians from the beginning till today to find me one Christian that was in the army of Umar Asad. I challenge them to find one atheist in the army of Umar Asad. You will not find it. These were all reciters of Quran, supposedly. These were all reciters of namaz, supposedly. They were saying, there was a voice heard on the day of Karbala, on the day of Ashura, on the plains of Karbala, from the army of Umar Asad, hurry up and kill Hussein so that we can do our Salatul Asr. Did they forget that the actual Salat was brought to them by the household of Hussein? The day of Ashura, the night of Sham-e Ghariba has passed. Today was the day. Today was the day that Umar al-Sad Mal'un announces that the caravan will now be taken from Karbala to Kufa. We will take them to Ibn Ziyad. We will take them to Ibn Ziyad to show what we have done. As they were getting everybody together, they could have taken the direct route towards Kufa. But what do these enemies of humanity do? They take the family of Rasulullah through the Makta, through the Maidan. Each of the ladies once again has to revisit the day of Ashura. Farwa has to see the place where Qasim's body is. Hazrat Zainab has to see where Own and Muhammad are. Kulthum has to pass by where Abbas Alamdar is. Rabab once again. They are now taken away, going, and at that time Imam Zainul Abidin is looking at the body of his father. अज़ादारान इमाम ज़ैनुल आबिदीन की निगाह कभी वहां पड़ती है जहां पे कासिम पामाल हुए थे, कभी चचा अब्बास की तरफ होते हैं, कभी और मोहम्मद की तरफ है, कभी नन्ही कब्र की तरफ है, लेकिन ज्यादा निगाह मौला सैयद सज्जाद की उस तरफ है जहां बाबा जलते हुए जमीन पर लेटे हुए बेगोरो कफन, ना कोई कब्र मिल सकती है. इमाम ज़ैनुल आबिदीन की आंखों से आंसू जारी. ज़ैनब कुबरा को इस बार महसूस ये हुआ कि ऐसा ना हो कि सज्जाद दम तोड़ देवे यहाँ पे. I don't want Zainul Abidin to die. What does Bibi Zainab do? She tries to throw herself off the horse so that the attention of Zainul Abidin will be there. अज़ादारान इमाम अपने आप को घोड़े से तो गिरा दी, लेकिन हमारे सलाम शहजादी पर इमाम ज़माना की ज़ियारत में नकल फरमाते हैं, मेरे सलाम मेरी फूफी अम्मा पर जब ज़मीन करबला पे आई तो हाथ में हथकड़िया है, पाँव में बेड़िया है, किस हालत में वो The caravan has now left from Karbala towards Kufa. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. Oh Allah, accept this ibadat from us, accept this ashraf from us, Ya Allah. We have attended and we have shed tears for the sake of Hazrat Fatima Zahra and her household, Ya Allah. Please ask her to do our shafaat on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Those who are ill, grant them shifa kamila from their illnesses. Those who are in debt, help them fulfill their debts, Ya Allah. The marhumin who have left us, grant them maghfirat, Ya Allah. Those who are ill, grant them shifa kamila, whether there's illnesses or physical illnesses, mental illnesses or spiritual illnesses, Ya Allah. Protect our ulama wa maraja, Ya Allah. Grant them a long and healthy life in the service of Islam. Ya Allah, for the sake of these days of Muharram and Ashura, we ask you to return our Mawla Imam al-Hujjah, who will avenge the martyrdom of Karbala, Ya Allah. Make us amongst the Ashab and the Ansar of the Imam. Let us see Zamana al-Dhuhur with our own eyes. And let us stay with the Imam till the end of our lives. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. ماتم حسين. يا حسين. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
My brothers and sisters, my elders, my youngsters, Assalamu alaikum. Before we begin our matam, I'm sorry I've asked the executive to just give me a few minutes to say a few words because later on everybody might leave. I'll just give a short speech on. This is on behalf. Thank you, son. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. As an elder and resident of this community for the last 50 years, I felt that I have to say a few words at the close of these 12 days of Muharram. MashaAllah, these days and nights pass very smoothly. First of all, I give condolences to the Imam of the time, the Muslim Ummah, and all of you on the Shahadat of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Next, on behalf of my wife and myself, I want to compliment Brother Sayyid Mir Hashmat and his team, Sayyid Habibullah, Sayyid Azim Anwar, Sayyid Taha Taqawi on the men's side, and Sister Tuba Anwar, Sister Nilofar Farhaman, and Sister Shiba Farhaman on the ladies' side for the wonderful program. The way you all did the great amount of work and the preparation was really admirable. MashaAllah. I know that this is your first time conducting the Muharram program on your own. It's not easy. I have been in the public service since a teenager, and I know how difficult this work is. People will always be saying positive and negative things, but just stay determined to serve. Just stay determined to serve the Imam, and you will always be successful, inshallah. You all put many hours behind the scene to set up the tents, the AV system, tabarruk, mohar sanding, carpet setting, water bottles arranging, and many other things that are needed to be done. I was also really happy to see the amazing work done by our youngsters under the leadership of Sayyid Taha and Sayyid Hashmat. We know that there is always be an error and small mistakes, but that is how we all learn and improve for the future. I do not know the names of the youths who served and worked hard on the men's and ladies' side, so I will ask Allah to bless all of them and their parents and leaders for their services. They all handled themselves so nicely and professionally. The reciters of poems, Nauha, Marcia, were beautiful, mashallah. We had a nice variety of Urdu, Farsi, Pashto, Arabic, and English. This is reflective in our multicultural Shia community here in Waterloo, Wellington. Once our new center is ready, inshallah, we will be able to have even better program for the entire community. I want to appreciate all those who brought, arranged, or donated towards the delicious meals we were getting every night. Finally, I want to just remind all of you to please contribute towards the Muharram and annual fee for the Jamaat. It's only with your donations and financial support that we can continue running these beautiful programs. Also, please fill out your membership forms and give them to Sayyid Azim or Treasurer. May Almighty Allah reward each and every one of you. Thank you all for everything you have done. I have just another little speech to make on behalf of the executive. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. This is on behalf of the executive that I've been given to us to say. We would like to take a moment on behalf of the executive committee of ISIJ of Waterloo, Wellington, to sincerely thank all the members of our community. As we are all aware, over the last couple of years, we have gone through tremendous changes given the unpredictable state of the pandemic. Despite these circumstances, we have been fortunate enough to be able to come together as a community and attend our center for the remembrance of the unfortunate tragedies of Karbala. This program couldn't have been achieved without our dedicated and hardworking volunteers. We would also like to thank all of our attendees for complying and supporting the guidelines that we set. Your compliance aided in the successful execution of our Muharram program. As well, thank you, Brother Sayyid Taha, for your continued help and support, particularly at the time in which we were in need. Finally, we would also like to extend a special thank you to Sheikh Shafiq for stepping in on such short notice to ensure our community had a successful program. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us and keep us safe from all the calamities of what is going on in this dunya. Once again, thank you so much for everyone's help and support. Wassalam. Thank you very much. Can you have a loud salawat for all?
Ya Hussein, عظم الله أجوركم inshallah. Alhamdulillah, as we have beautiful reciters inshallah on this night as well, which will be the final night from these consecutive majalis. We will offer Salatul Maghrib Bain, and then inshallah after that we will conclude our program with the matam as well as ziyarat waratha. So encouraging my younger brothers and sisters to inshallah help lay out the prayer mats. Also the donations, they're not just limited as mentioned by the uncle. It's not mentioned just limited to Muharram but throughout the year. And anyone who would like to donate towards it, they can do so either by e-transfer or even in person to the members that were stated, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma. Just a quick announcement regarding the nether. So there's a nether arranged at the IHS over here on the 29th August, Sunday at 5 p.m. And this is done, the nether of Sayyidah Zainab Salamullahi alayha, for the sisters inshallah only. So the sisters are invited to attend this nether, encouraged to participate in this nether on Sunday 29th August at 5 p.m. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. توكلت على الحي الذي لا يموت والحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وتقبل الشفاعة. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله صلوات الله والسلام عليه. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Mu'mineen, I have respectfully requested Sayyid Taha to conduct Salat. It's our honor and pleasure and spiritual responsibility, inshallah. My full trust, he's like a son to me and he's been a great leader for our community. So it is my request, it is not that he himself has insisted on anything. It is my insistence and request. I have no authority to give him a hukum, but it is my darkhas that he will lead us in Salatul Maghribain, inshallah, for this, the close of this Ashur, inshallah. Jazakallah. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
ويشي قارون ورزقي دارون وأولاد أبرار وجلين قبر النبي كمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم مستقر وقرارا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
I will request one more salawat for Sayyid Taha and for all of the mu'mineen, the volunteers, the muntazameen, the preparers, the arrangers, for all of them one loud salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
حي
محمد.
على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله كل ضم وأتوب إليه. يا محسن قد زاك المسيح أنت المحسن فتجاوز هذا. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربنا. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب اجعلني مقيم صلاتي ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله كما هو أهله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على
محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعظائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة ورزوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت. أستغفرك وأتوب إليك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين علي ولي الله. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاح حي على الصلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاح قد قامت الصلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله كل ضم وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله كما هو أهله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا ولي العافية أسألك العافية، عافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله والحمد لله وخير الأسماء الحسنى لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع الرزق، وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي، فأجول في طلب البلدان، فأنا فيما أنا طالبك العيران. لا أدري أفي سهل هو أم في جبل، أم في أرض أم في السماء، أم في بر أم في بحر، وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من. وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك، وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله، واجعل يا رب رزقك لي واسعا، ومطلبه سهلا، ومأخذه قريبا، ولا تغنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا، فإنك غني عن عذابي وأنا فقير إلا رحمتك فصل على محمد وآله وجد على عبدك بفضلك إنك ذو فضل عظيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Inshallah, just a quick announcement and then we'll start with the matam, inshallah. As you know that this was the last of the majlis in these ashra, and alhamdulillah we had the honor of having our respected Shaykh Shafiq. May Allah bless him, protect him, his family, his respected parents, indeed who are the muhsin of indeed the community. May Allah protect them and inshallah increase their tawfiqat, and that Allah continue to bestow them the tawfiq of continuing to serve the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. For the acceptance of our dua, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, for the following Thursday nights, a survey will be sent out, inshallah, that whether you would like them to have in person or would you like to have them online. Again, based survey, so do look out for that email, and we would like your response so that arrangements can be done, whether in person or whether online. Please respond to that email, fill that survey. It will be a very short 1 or 2 question survey that if you can fill it, then programs can be arranged accordingly. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.
ای شیعه و امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین اوریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعه و امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین اوریان اندر بیابان است.
The sacred body of O Abba Abdillah, trampled by the horses, lies on the plains of Karbala. ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین اوریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین اوریان اندر بیابان است. The tents of the families of all those unfaltering, once looted and plundered, are now there blazing. ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین اوریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است. The Imam of the time lies unconscious on the ground. Zainab, his protector, vicious enemies all around. Ey Shi'ayun himshab, Sham Ghariban ast. Jism Hussein Orion, Andar Biaban ast. ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است. On the spears are the heads of the great and pious men. Ahlul Bayt have been slain, Al-Ghadir ignored again. ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است. Can you see that young girl with the bleeding ears walking in the battlefield, innocent eyes and tears? ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است. No Hussein, no Akbar, no Qasim, no Abbas. The children are silent, not a whisper of Allah touch. ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است اسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است اسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است. The women without their veils sleeping in the open air. What has happened to the world? Is there no one who cares? ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است. O Shias, the memory of tonight will never be lost. ای شیعیون امشب شام غریبان است جسم حسین عریان اندر بیابان است.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
الوداع الوداع یا شهید بی خطا ناز دشت نینوا شاه کربلا. الوداع الوداع یا شهید بی خطا ناز دشت نینوا شاه کربلا. الوداع الوداع یا شهید بے خطا ناز نینوا شاہ کربلا. کر قبول پہن کا سلام یا حسین قید ہو کے جا رہی ہوں شام یا حسین. दिल में तेरी याद है या हुसैन या हुसैन, दिल में तेरी याद है, आसरा सजाद है, साद इब्न साद है, मैं हूँ बेरिदा। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नैनवा शाह करबला। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नैनवा शाह करबला। खत्म हो गए हैं सारे आसरे, अकबर व अब्बास मेरे ना रहे। खत्म हो गए हैं सारे आसरे, अकबर व अब्बास मेरे ना रहे। कातिलों की भीड़ है हमारी हर तरफ, जाने को तैयार है अब कैदियों के साथ। इब्न शाह बूतराब हो गई हूँ बेहिजाब, लौट आओ कामयाब दे मुझे दुआ। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नैनवा शाह करबला। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नैनवा शाह करबला। क्या सुनाऊं दर्द फख्र पंजतन, चाहे मैंने लाख है किए जतन। क्या सुनाऊं दर्द फख्र पंजतन, चाहे मैंने लाख है किए जतन। मेरे दाए इन्नमा बचा नहीं सकी, बाई तेरे लाश पे मैं आ नहीं सकी। आग थी क़यामते जिनमें दो इमाम थे, बच्चे तश्ना काम थे आते किस तरह। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त शाह करबला। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नैनवा शाह करबला। चुप न जाए तेरा बेगुनाह लहू, जा रही हूँ इसलिए मैं खूब खू। चुप न जाए तेरा बेगुनाह लहू, जा रही हूँ इसलिए मैं खूब खू। जाके मैं बताऊंगी तू बेमिसाल है, तू बक़ाए दीन है, तू लाजवाब है। शाह बेनवा है तू, रूह ला इलाह है तू, फ़ख्र अंबिया है तू, राज़ किबरिया। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नैनवा शाह करबला। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त शाह करबला। मैं न रुकने दूंगी तेरा हम हुसैन, मैं न झुकने दूंगी ये अलम हुसैन। मैं न रुकने दूंगी तेरा हम हुसैन, मैं न झुकने दूंगी ये अलम हुसैन। अहद जो किए हैं वो निभा के जाऊंगी, मैं हुसैनियत को यूं बता के जाऊंगी। हश्र तक रहेगा तू इस तरह जिएगा तू, आके खुद कहेगा तू बहन शुक्रिया। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त शाह करबला। अलविदा अलविदा या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त शाह करबला। छोड़ कर चला जो दश्त करबला, माल के हयात कैद काफिला। छोड़ कर चला जो दश्त करबला, माल के हयात कैद काफिला। बोली रोक के शाह से ये दुख्तर इमरान, तश्ना लब गरीब बाई मैं तेरे कुर्बान। दिल गमों से चूर है या हुसैन, दिल गमों से चूर है और शाम दूर है, जाना भी जरूर है भाई। अलविदा 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 या शहीद बेखता, नाज़े दश्त नवा शाह करबला।
الوداع الوداع یا شهید نینوا ز دشت کربلا شاه کربلا
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین. به خاطر شفای همه بیمارایتان، مخصوصا یک فامیلی که از خدمتگزارای از این حسینی هستند در شهر ملتون فعلا مبتلا به مریضی کرونا هستند، یک صلوات بلند عطا فرمایید. صلوات دوم به خاطر رفع مشکلات همه مسلمانای دنیا، مخصوصا مردم مظلوم افغانستان و آرامش در اون مملکت، یک صلوات بلندتر هم محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم. یا رب چی آلت است به دلهای تنگ ما، که از چهره می برد علمش آب و رنگ ما. یا دست ما رها شده از دامن حسین، یا او کشیده دامن خود را ز دست ما. ای عزیزان به عزای شهیدین آمده ایم، ای عزیزان به عزای شهیدین آمده ایم، پای دلداری زینب حزین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین جان به فدای حسین، یا حسین یا حسین جان به فدای حسین، یا حسین یا حسین حسین. یکی بر سینه زنان و دگر گریه کنان، یکی بر سینه زنان و دگر گریه کنان، همه با حالت زار و دل یقین آمده ایم، همه با حالت زار و دل غمین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین جان به فدای حسین، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین. شور و سودای حسینی بنگر از همگان، شور و سودای حسینی بنگر از همگان، گهی افتاده غلطان با زمین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین حسین. زاده شیر خدا دست علمدار چی شد، زاده شیر خدا دست علمدار چی شد، پای بر پای بیرق از زمین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین. کربلا کشور ما گشت، کربلا کشور ما گشت و حسین مرجع ما، کربلا کشور ما گشت و حسین مرجع ما، جورا دیده و ما نیز حزین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین. ما قرینیم به غمهای شما یا مولا، ما قرینیم به غمهای شما مولا، زین جهت ما همه با شور و تنین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین. یک نگاه سوی ندیمت که تو مولای منی، یک نگاه سوی ندیمت که تو مولای منی، خواست داریم که ز خلد برین آمده ایم. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین. صلوات.
مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق
إمام يا حسن يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين وعبد بمارتها وعبد بمارتها चलने से जो लाचार था चलने से जो लाचार था और शाम का बाजार था और शाम का बाजार था और मुस्तफा की बेटियां मौला फातिमा या हसन या हुसैन 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 मोहम्मद वाली मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम
मुतवज्जह ज़ियारत वारसा
زيارة إمام حسين عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا سار الله وابن ساري والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سميت بذلك فرزيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأسلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مظلمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرزي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وإعلام الهدى والأروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبي بكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. جناب علي أكبر عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد. السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد. السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سميت بذلك فرزيت به. تمام شهداء كربلاء. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباه. السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداه. السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي ولي الزكي الناس. السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله. بأبي أنتم وأمي تبتم وتابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما. فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. جناب زيادة أبو الفضل العباس. السلام عليك يا أبو الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليكم يا سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأخوتهم على الإسلام. أشهد لك أن نسخت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة استخلت منك المهارمة وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد المهام الناصر والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل. والحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. السلام عليكم يا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاه وابن مولاه. السلام عليك يا غريب الغربة. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. السلطان أبا الحسن مولانا علي بن موسى الرضا كن شفيعنا وشفي والدي في يوم جزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا ابن الحسن يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا قابة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وأوانك وشيئتك وزوارك. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك التوى وتمتع فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
الفاتحة.
ما الشيخ جزء اما الشيخ جزء الميكروفون كيستخدم يمكن خدمه سايكو بتريش جلاس يا نيس بتريش سايكو حافظ طب خلنا point just maybe should point افكر كمان هذا point لك شيء كثير صغير خو
What's his name?
No. Idris.
Oh, this. What? Oh my God. That's it.
No, it's okay. Leave it. He said leave it.